Hi everyone. In this video, I'll talk about journalism. What is journalism? What is news? What makes something newsworthy? And how do newsrooms work? So what is journalism? Well, let me ask you this. How many of you have done one of the following in the past few days? Surfed the web, watched television news, listened to the radio, read a newspaper or a magazine, shared your status on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat. So what do these activities all have in common? Well, they're all related to journalism. They're all part of media that surround us and affects us on a daily basis. The criteria that professional reporters and editors use to decide what is news can be summarized in 3 words: relevance, usefulness, and interest. Those criteria apply generally, but each journalist and each news organization uses them in a specific context that gives them particular meaning. The criteria journalists consider when determining what is news also includes timeliness. Timeliness is something new or a new twist on an old story. News is supposed to be new. If news is to be relevant and useful, it must be timely. For example, it'd be more useful to write about an issue facing the City Council before it's decided than afterward. Timely reporting gives people a chance to be participants in public affairs rather than mere spectators. Timely reporting means bringing your audience new information as soon as it develops. The sooner the better. Old news is just that, old. It's our job as journalists to deliver the latest information to our audience to keep the public informed of important and newsworthy events. Conflict is also an important criteria for considering what is news. Conflict includes clashes of all types. Conflicts can be important news stories, clashes like wars and strikes and political campaigns and protests. It's the job of a journalist to be fair and balanced when reporting conflicts, and in doing so, the audience gets to understand both sides of an issue. Another criteria for determining what is news is proximity. That's an event with local appeal that occurs in our neighborhood, to our friends, to our age group, or those who share our interests. So, for example, an outbreak of meningitis on the campus of some university in Paris isn't nearly as significant or newsworthy as an outbreak of meningitis on the campus of Pierce College. That happened right here. We need to know about this. Prominence is another important criteria. The news covers the activities of well-known people. Names make news. The bigger the name, the bigger the news. Do we care if your neighbor got caught cheating on his taxes? No, not really. But if it's the mayor of Los Angeles who gets caught cheating on his taxes, then that makes news. I'm not sure why celebrity divorces make news, but the audience and a lot of readers and viewers eat it up. Prominence is another important criteria. The news covers the activities of well-known people. Names make news. The bigger the name, the bigger the news. Do we care if your neighbor got caught cheating on his taxes? No, not really. But if it's the mayor of LA who gets caught cheating on his taxes, then that makes news. I'm not really sure why celebrity divorces make news, but the audience, a lot of readers and viewers, eat it up. Humor and oddity or novelty are also important criteria. The audience, print or broadcast, loves the lighter side of a story, and anything odd or new makes news. It's why you see a skateboard riding dog in newscasts, or water skiing squirrels for that matter. Journalists consider impact when deciding if something is newsworthy. A 2-car crash in the Sepulveda Pass, blocking a lane for a few minutes, well, it's not a big deal, other than to the folks in the crash. It doesn't have much impact. But a major pileup with the freeway shut down, that has a huge impact on a lot of people, and that's definitely newsworthy. So let's talk about the nature of news. Not all news is serious, life and death stuff. News is more than a collection of facts. Telling the news usually means telling stories. When we talk about the media, you have to understand It's vast. There's print, broadcast, TV, internet, but regardless of the platform, they're all in the business of telling stories. Because of the internet, the media has been going through convergence. Different forms of media, different platforms, all converging on the internet. And what we're seeing in the media is the efforts to use different strengths of different media to reach broader audiences and tell the world's stories in new ways. From a journalist's perspective, convergence means you need to be able to do it all. A reporter must know how to write for print, for the web, broadcast, TV and radio, and social media. Web reporters may find themselves writing for radio or TV. No matter how much technology changes, journalists' jobs remain the same. A reporter must know how to tell stories fairly and accurately. There are many different types of journalism. The general field of journalism has various types of writing depending on the audience and the motives of the writers. Distinctions are also made to separate the various journalism genres as categories of writing. Let's take a look at some of the most common types. Advocacy journalism. That's writing to advocate particular viewpoints or influence the opinions of the audience. In the US, journalists in general strive to remain neutral. But in other countries, like Israel, for example, the readers know and understand that many of the journalists advocate a viewpoint. Readers know this going in and understand that what they're reading will have a particular slant. Broadcast journalism. That's writing or speaking which is intended to be distributed by radio or television rather than only in written form for readers. Investigative journalism. That's writing which seeks to add extra information to explain or better describe the people and events of a particular topic. This type of journalism is about unearthing facts and studying cases that may require more efforts, which can take months or even years. Journalists who specialize in investigative journalism create headlines with news that expose scandals. An example would be the journalists who broke the story about the media mogul Harvey Weinstein, which started the Me Too movement in the fall of 2017. Those were investigative reporters who dug deep to uncover information. Then there's tabloid journalism. That's writing which uses opinionated or wild claims. And yellow journalism, writing which emphasizes exaggerated claims or rumors. It's similar to tabloid journalism. This type of journalism preceded tabloid journalism. Fashion journalism, that's articles or reports related to the fashion world. Journalists are also known as fashion writers or fashion editors. Today, there are many television channels that cater only to fashion, which gives ample opportunity for journalists who have a passion to cover such topics. News journalism. The primary aim of the journalist is to report news in a straightforward manner that covers all the required facts. This style is direct, with focus on the gist of the story with other necessary points. The news style should be concise and precise. The facts must be cross-checked, which makes the news item as authentic as possible without any media bias. Celebrity journalism. The journalist is connected to news and events related to celebrities from the entertainment world, and also it includes celebrities from other fields such as music, sports, dance, art, politics, etc. This journalism is all about the news that's related to their professional and personal life. Reporting gossip is one of the angles of celebrity journalism, wherein journalists are often accused of misconstruing news or quotes in a deliberate fashion. Sports journalism. Journalists spend hours reporting on a particular sport event. A journalist has to report the accurate facts and statistics related to that event. Interviews with celebrity sports stars are yet one of the interesting features of sports journalism. Citizen journalism. Here it's not the professional journalists who are responsible for the news reporting. Any citizen can participate and report news to the media. They collect and report news to the media and participate voluntarily to offer help to the media. They bring to notice issues that may have been missed by media houses. Environmental journalism. There are many journalists who prefer to cover issues related to the environment and its protection and conservation. Environmental journalists may only report about the news, while some work for a cause. Business journalism. The journalist covers in-depth reports about the latest in business, launch of products, stock markets, etc. There are many shows dedicated only for business news on television, whereas in newspapers one can find a special section dedicated to this subject. What about types of stories? Most journalists need to know how to write a variety of different types of stories. In this class, we focus on the straight news story, using the inverted pyramid, which I will explain in my next lecture. But you need to understand and know how to write many different types of stories. The profile. That's an article about an individual, and the profile article is one of the staples of feature writing. No doubt you've read profiles in newspapers, magazines, and websites. Reporters do them on politicians, CEOs, celebrities, athletes, and so on. Profiles can be done on just about anyone who's interesting and newsworthy, whether it's on a local, national, or international level. The idea of the profile is to give readers a behind-the-scenes look at what a person is really like, warts and all, away from their public persona. Profile articles generally provide background on the profile subject, their age, where they grew up, and where they were educated, where they live now, are they married, do they have kids, etc. Beyond such factual basics, profiles look at who and what influenced the person, their ideas, and their choice of vocation or profession. If you're doing a profile, you'll obviously need to interview your subject in person if possible, so that in addition to getting quotes, you can describe their appearance and mannerisms. You should also watch the person in action, doing what they do, whether it be a mayor, a doctor, or a beat cop. Also, talk to people who know the person you're profiling, and if your profile subject is controversial, talk to some of his or her critics. The news feature. This is a feature article that focuses on a topic of interest in the news. News features often cover the same subjects as deadline, hard news stories, but they do it in a greater depth and detail. And since feature articles are people stories, news features tend to focus on people more than deadline news stories, which often focus on numbers and statistics. The spot feature. Spot features are feature stories produced on deadline that focus on breaking news events. Often news features are used as sidebars to the main bar, the main deadline news story about an event. Let's say a tornado hits your town. Your main bar will focus on the 5 W's and the H of the story, the who, what, where, when, why, and how, and the number of casualties, the extent of the damage, the rescue efforts involved, and so on. But with the main bar, you could have any number of sidebars focusing on certain aspects of the event. One story might describe the scene at an emergency shelter where displaced residents are housed. Literally dozens of different sidebars could be done in this case, and more often than not, they would be written in a feature style. The trend story. Trend stories take the pulse of the culture at the moment, looking at what's new, fresh, and exciting in the world of art, fashion, film, music, high tech, and so on. The emphasis in trend stories is usually on light, quick, easy-to-read pieces that capture the spirit of whatever new trend is being discussed. All right, switching gears now, let's look at who's who in the newsroom. Assigning, writing, editing, and publishing stories is a group effort. Journalism job descriptions vary from newsroom to newsroom. Small publications often require a broader range of responsibilities. In larger newsrooms, jobs are more specialized. At most papers, writers are either general assignment reporters, people who cover an unpredictable variety of topics depending on what news events occur from day to day, or beat reporters, and those are people who cover a specific topic: politics, crime, education, sports, entertainment, to name a few. The publisher is the ultimate boss. This person presides over all of the departments to ensure profitability. Underneath the publisher, you have the production manager, the circulation manager, the advertising manager, and the editor. If you are a reporter, a journalist, you will work underneath the editor. The editor runs the newsroom and has the final say in story selection and news philosophy. Directly beneath the editor is the managing editor. This person oversees the day-to-day operation of the newsroom and resolves staffing issues. Directly below the managing editor, you'll have a series of editors, including the online editor, the photo editor, the copy desk chief, the features editor, the sports editor, and the city editor. All of these editors have equal clout in the newsroom and usually report to the managing editor. The city editor assigns and edits most of the paper's local hard news stories. Underneath each of the editors and the copy desk chief, you have a series of staff members who also have equal status in the newsroom and report to their department editors. Depending on the type of reporter that you are, if you're a news reporter or a feature reporter, you would then report directly to your editor for the section that you work for. In journalism, we need to be impeccable, flawless. We can't make grammatical or spelling errors. Make sure you proofread your copy. Use spell check, but also read each line carefully before you submit any work. Spell check doesn't always catch every mistake. And I highly recommend an app called Grammarly. It's free and you can download it to your desktop. And then when you're working in Word, it pops up and alerts you whenever something is spelled wrong or there is incorrect grammar. It's very handy and can keep you out of trouble and help keep your grades up.